on an all-new Dr. Phil. She claims she's married to Tyler Perry.
I am his wife. I believe that Tyler Perry is raising my son.
How did somebody get eggs out of your body?
I don't know.
Who does know?
Tyler knows.
How can you be married and not have been together?
Is it a scam?
Carla thinks she's sending money for Tyler. Kindly know me when you have make the transfer. He doesn't talk that way.
You're not talking to the real Tyler Perry.
Ooh, so you think I've been conned, that I've never had any communication with Tyler Perry?
I think you've been speaking to a Nigerian that is pretending to be him. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Yesterday, I began to unravel a complicated celebrity catfish story. Now, Courtney and Kelly say their mother, Carla, is 100% convinced that she is married to actor, producer, and director Tyler Perry. Now, I've been researching her claims, and we have found some serious issues with their online love affair. Here's what has happened so far.
My mom is on a Tyler Perry fan page on Facebook. She started scrolling through it, liking everything.
This person reached out to her, claiming to be Tyler Perry.
He started telling her, "You're beautiful, I love you, baby, and I'm here for you." At some point, Tyler Perry asked my mother to marry him, and this fake Tyler Perry has convinced my mother that she is the biological mother of the real Tyler Perry's son.
Is there any doubt in your mind that your mother's being scammed?
There is no doubt. No matter what we do, she will not listen, understand at all that this person is scamming her.
This Tyler Perry asked my mother to send him money approximately 50 times for a total amount of $100,000.
My mom is almost on her last dime.
You are married to Tyler Perry.
Yes, I am. It makes me ecstatic just knowing that I am the wife of Tyler Perry.
You've never met him face to face.
Right. I have not seen him face to face.
Are you willing to look at it with an open mind?
Definitely.
The phone number that he's talking to you on does not attach to a service provider, and people do use those associated with scams. Let's take a look at some of the internet posts that you've gotten. Tyler, I need you to believe some force beyond your control is guiding you to someone who can make you happy beyond your wildest dreams. Hashtag boom. If you take this right here and you put it into a search, you find it comes up on a scam website, verbatim.
You're saying that that was on a scam website?
Well, they weren't written by Tyler Perry.
Do I believe I'm being scammed? No, I don't believe I'm being scammed.
The question is he real or is he not?
He's real. It is not possible that he's fake. I wouldn't be here doing this. I'm not that type of person to waste my time. I love Tyler. My love for Tyler Perry is sincere. It's real. And I mean that.
He also has used a lot of broken English with you.
See, we have our own personal way of communicating. And I mean, I hate that those are the ones that you have chosen to place here before me. But there, if you looked at all of the other communications, I think the wrong selection was made.
It's because, like, those are big parts of the messages, though, Mom. Like, you have to realize that that's a big portion of what he's been sending you. Why would Tyler Perry get that off of a scam site to talk to you? Why wouldn't he come up with his own words?
Well, but let's look at what he said here. You say you have a unique way of talking. He says, so now I'm busy checking up on you and now it a blank crim to you. Look here, Carla, if you continue this way, I'm sorry, we will have to find each other ways if you don't change 3 from now till Christmas. Am giving you a grace of chance now or never see me in divine order. Kindly know me when you have make the transfer. Tyler Perry is a very good personal friend of mine. He doesn't talk that way.
I know that, but I don't know which. See, I don't know where that text message come from, or if you guys went through. I have over 6,000 photos in there, and some of that is mixed in with individuals who did try to pretend to be him. If I was able to actually see it and know, because there's two different individuals. He is a playwright, and
well, don't tell me about him. I know him. I've met him. You haven't even met him.
I know I haven't met him.
But either way, Mom,
Here's
either way, all of
You said you wanted to see the whole text. Here's the whole text. Here's the whole text. Here is the details of where you can transfer the money if you want to support Mr. Tyler Foundation. Bank name, blank, bank. Name, Marlise blank. Routing number, account number. Thank you and God bless you as you show your support and cares to the kids. Kindly know me when you have make the transfer, and God bless. Okay? He was asking you for money there to make a donation, right?
Yes, I found out that was one of his counterparts, that sent me that. But the truth of the matter is, it was one of his counterparts that was utilizing his name. So I'm aware of that. I am aware of that.
Well, there is no...
Marlise, I'm
but
aware.
There is no Mr. Tyler Foundation.
I didn't say that there was a Mr. Tyler Foundation. I know that there is no Mr. Tyler Foundation.
But he says there's a Mr. Tyler Foundation. There is no Mr. Tyler Foundation.
Okay, but that was just the terminology that was used.
So you're aware that this is fake?
But what you have to understand is Tyler and I have been walking by faith for years. And we have had individuals come in and try to either pretend to be him and try to distract us from continuing on, who despised our relationship.
But you did give money to the cancer charity.
I have given money. Anytime he asked me to help to support, I would. And he even asked me in the name of his mom, and specifically it was a New Orleans project that.
But you gave money to a cancer charity that was Seattle Street in Shelby, North Carolina, and we didn't show all of it, but we actually checked that address, and it's a blank field. There's nothing there. You sent money to a blank field.
Well, I guess I just...
So some of these places were not actually legit, Mom, that you've been sending your money to.
Some of them haven't. I've realized some of them haven't.
But these are places that Tyler Perry has been sending to you to send this money to. He's been sending you these addresses to send money to.
So it doesn't go to a real person. They can be the one to pick it up.
Walking by faith, you're going to have times where you make mistakes. If I made a mistake and it was the wrong one, then
not your fault.
That's on me. But it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with me as far as...
That's not what we're here
Okay,
That's
right.
not what we're here for. Nothing's wrong with you.
Okay.
It's this person who's manipulating you and who's making you
Okay,
sit on this money.
just
It's
say
all of their
hypothetically.
fault.
But he's not being biased. He's just showing you the facts. Like,
And
I could
and
show
I-
you this,
and
Kelly
I
could show you. These
accept
are
it.
facts.
I accept whatever you have gotten checked out legitimately, whatever the case may be, investigated. I'm willing to accept that. But guess what? Mixed in with all of that, you can say what you want to say, because I know that between me and my God, and Tyler knows that we have been walking by faith, and I have been there for him, and I have been loving and supporting him.
But it doesn't give you the slightest...
And I tell everybody out here in this audience with a sound frame of mind, I'm a professional woman. I'm not one to obsess over any celebrity. And I know for a fact, and Tyler knows. See, this is a little comical for me right now, because see, he's good. We always play with each other as well. He knows good and well what I expect of him. He is out of divine order.
Why Tyler told Carla how they supposedly had children together even before they met. She'll explain these miraculous conceptions when we come back.
We are technically married, and it's been sealed. I believe maybe a gag order has been.
Oh, how can you be married and not have been together?
I am still trying to find out all of the details myself.
And later,
I was communicating with him. Can you explain what you mean by this?
I want you to look
Mom,
me in the
look
eye.
at him.
Okay.
Do you think you're married
Right.
to him?
You got to be kidding me.
He doesn't know you.
There is nothing hotter than real, honest to goodness love.
Mama wanna tell you where it's at, I wanna get that.
I was made for this.
Get with it or get lost.
You dropped the ball big time.
I'm throwing y'all my very own Miami yacht party.
It just shook up all of the dynamics.
Y'all ready for this?
Here we go, y'all.
We're going ice skating.
You got it, Chuck. Come on, come on.
Ugh, this rental car is so boring to drive.
Let's be honest. The rent-a-car industry is the definition of boring, and the reason can be found in the name itself. Rent-a-car? You don't want a friend. You want the friend. You don't want a job. You want the job. The is always over a. That's why we don't offer a car. We offer the car. Sixth, rent the car.
Entresto is the #1 heart failure brand prescribed by cardiologists. It was proven superior at helping people stay alive and out of the hospital. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. And don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto.
I'm Aubrey. I went to St. Jude because I had a cancerous tumor.
These kids, they don't deserve to have to go through this. My beautiful little redheaded girl has cancer. You don't know what's going to happen.
Please call or go online and become a St. Jude Partner in Hope for only $19 a month.
I think it's the most worthwhile place to put your money when it comes to childhood cancer.
Let's go again. One more.
One more, man?
Oh, man. All right, little bro.
Want more?
I'm taking you down bit by bit. I can't wait to see you try. It's only just begun.
Next on Love and Marriage Huntsville.
I think I saw an interview, and they asked Mel how she doing with Martell's new boo thing. Oh, she felt probably happier when he was leveling down. But the level up is kind of a gut punch.
Hey, Martell?
Hey, what up? Hey, don't keep me outside all this damn
Yeah,
heat.
it's outside today.
You gonna invite me to that house? Don't play with me like that.
Love and Marriage Huntsville. New episode, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
Tyler Perry has indicated to me that my daughter Kelly is his child. I don't know how that would be possible because there has been no DNA. Do I believe that Kelly is his child? Yes, Kelly does not look like the dad that I was married to. She does look like Tyler. If you met Tyler, then you could see him in her. I want my girls to like him, to love him. I just want a family.
Okay, Carla says Kelly is actually Tyler's daughter and shows traits of his creativity. However, there's one thing that doesn't check out. Carla says that she's still waiting to consummate her marriage until the couple lives together. Now, I want to take a step back for just a second. How is it that you're married, but you've never been in the same room together? You've never been before a justice of the peace or a judge or a minister? Or how can you be married and not have been together?
Our situation is very complicated, and so Like I told your producers, I have asked him for a license, and it's very complicated because of my divorce with my ex, and things that activities that happen surrounding that have gone viral, that are of a national at a national level now. And so because of some of those activities, you know, I am still trying to find out all of the details myself. Now, as far as us being married, yes, it was indicated to me that we are technically married, and it's been sealed.
Okay, now you're.
That's the best way that I could explain it, because there's some things that have happened, and from what I understand, there has been a case or something that I believe maybe a gag order has been.
Okay, hold on a second. You said that. You said this is very complicated, right?
It's a complicated situation, and that's what he indicated to me. Yes, and he asked me for certain information. And
okay, hang on.
Okay, I'm hang on. I'm here. I'm hanging in there.
And you said that it was sealed. You said that it had gone viral.
Certain things have gone viral that the public.
Hang on. And you said that it involved national, and that there were parts of it that dealt with security. Now, what went viral?
I was cyberbullied, okay, and it was.
What went viral? Was there an event that went viral?
No, the whole situation surrounding my divorce and issues regarding. More of a religious, I guess a religious area. I didn't even know it had become viral because...
Well, I've got computer experts standing by. I want them to look up what went viral. Was it millions, tens of millions? How many people did this go viral to?
This is only what has been indicated to me when communicating with Tyler, things regarding myself and my reputation, my character, things were put out there about me. I was slandered.
They're looking it up right now. So
I don't care what you have to look up. I know that took place.
Okay, what state were you married in?
I don't know. I don't have the information. I don't have any of the information surrounding it. I'm telling you what was told to me. Now, whether or not it was done on a legal basis or not, you consider it, but because of the details surrounding my situation that went viral, I think it was allowed because it was some serious things that went on.
Okay, well, let me tell you, our internet experts have been back there looking, and they've looked under your name, your ex-husband's name, your name with Perry as your last name.
And they're not going to find anything.
They haven't found one thing. And if it had gone viral, it would be all over the internet.
I'm not saying that the marriage went viral.
No. I'm saying you said that you got into a conflict of being cyberbullied, and the whole situation blew up and went viral. There's not one thing on the internet about what you're talking about.
He's made you think, he has put in your mind that this has actually happened, Mom. None of this has happened.
It happened.
But then why is it not on the internet?
Have you heard of hackers?
Yes, we have.
Have you heard of hackers? Have you heard of professional people who can go into systems and change things?
But if something is viral, they can't change every single thing that's viral.
And can remove certain things from the internet?
Not if it's viral. Viral means that it's everywhere. You can't take that down.
It's just more things that he's been telling you that he's been lying about, trying to get you to think
sorry
certain
you feel
things.
that way.
Okay, well, let me ask.
We can agree to disagree.
Okay.
He is out of divine order right now, okay? Now, he's been
out of divine order this whole time.
Well, I hope that he's here, and I hope I had asked about him coming here.
Well, you asked him yourself if he was coming, and he didn't even have a response for you. So, if anything, you should know if he's here.
Okay, I'm trying to stick with the facts. I'm trying to stick with the facts. You said that your marriage had to be sealed.
I'm saying I had... See, I'm here, and I came here kind of prematurely before finding out all of the facts and getting all the information. I'm only here for one reason. I'm not here to be made a public fiasco or to be exploited in any manner. I am here because I want Tyler to come off of his high horse like I've told him, get in divine order, and let him know I've always treated him like a down, deep South, dirty South, Southern boy, New Orleans, and he need to come off of his high horse and not forget where he's come from.
We're here too.
And I wouldn't be here if I didn't feel like I had some seriously legitimate factual information that nobody else knows. I wouldn't just show up here. Now this child right here, after he explained to me and told me and the situation with Kelly, I told him he needs to come and talk to her. He needs to be here.
All right, well, let me ask about that.
No, even if he is here, I'll slap him in the face for all that he's done to you, because this is not good.
I was told that he is my son.
Your eggs were planted in a surrogate.
I didn't believe it myself at first.
How did they get your eggs?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, who does know?
Tyler knows.
Real, honest to goodness love.
Mama wanna tell you where it's at. I wanna get that.
I was made for this.
Get that. Baby,
Y'all ready for this?
Score low prices and great deals at Target. This week, save on the gifts they'll love at prices you'll love. Deals so good, you can holiday your way. Only at Target.
It's me, Pete Davidson, here to tell you about the most amazing breakfast you could ever dream of, according to me. The Breakfast Crunch Wrap. Fluffy eggs, sausage, hash browns. That's the Bell Breakfast way.
Sir, you gonna order?
Yeah, I'll take a breakfast crunch thing.
I get skeptical when things seem too good to be true. You could say I'm a realist. Take Rakuten. Now, how do they give shoppers cash back on top of deals at their favorite stores?
All that savings sounds like holiday magic.
No, just good sense. Fantastic. Wonderful, Charlie. Love the ribbons. Far be it from me to tell you what to believe in, but I believe in Rakuten.
Daddy printed out my permission slip, right?
Do you suffer from cartridge conniptions? Be conniption-free thanks to the cartridge-free Epson EcoTank printer. Big ink tanks, a ridiculous amount of ink. The Epson EcoTank, just fill and chill.
One of my goals was to master my credit, and that's when I found Experian Boost on my Chime app. My FICO score went up 14 points, and all it took was 3 bills that I was already paying on time. See what I'm saying? At Chime.com.
The holidays were awkward for Romeo and Juliet. Thankfully, Amazon had just the gift to bring the families together. Shop legendary deals.
It's a new leader in town now.
Well, you the one just threatening me? Baby, they ain't here. That's what I say. Come for me, go low. If you want to, I'm going to hell. Okay?
Let me ask you something. How were your eggs harvested?
I didn't say that my eggs were, I indicated that that was what was indicated to me, that because of the advanced technology, it was indicated to me, and there's a STEM program. I didn't believe it myself at first. I was just told that there are other children involved. I was told that, I said that. I was told that he is my son, okay? Now, I'm just telling you what I was told. I didn't.
Because your eggs were planted in another woman who was a surrogate.
That's what I was told.
Okay, how did they get your eggs?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, who does know?
Tyler knows.
See, Mom, he told you. He told you.
But it's your body. How
Right.
did somebody get eggs out of your body without you knowing it?
He literally would tell you anything just to keep you around.
I'm just telling you what was told to me. Now,
See,
all of that
told.
Listen, that is not the focal point here.
I know, Mom.
I don't even care about all that. Even if that was in another drama, just say if that was something that, you know, he might be trying to do, even if it was as a joke or whatever the case, even if he wasn't telling the truth or telling the truth.
That's not funny.
I'm not concerned about that right now. What I'm concerned about
joke,
is him
though,
being
Mom.
in divine, I'm concerned about him getting in divine order and
But the thing is,
coming to speak to you guys about the fact that we were communicating, we were walking by faith. That's what I want him.
You've been wanting him to do that for years. He hasn't done it by now.
Okay, let me ask you something.
I know
okay,
for a
hold
fact
on.
that he is
all right, let me
more connected to my family than talking about it.
Okay, let me ask you something here. Let me ask you something. Does it occur to you that you are accepting on blind faith things that are being told to you that make no common sense, scientific sense?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm the type of person where I take everything and I'm just telling you everything. I'm putting everything out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that I believe everything of all of the information that I have received.
When someone tells you that your eggs have been harvested from your body and planted in a surrogate, and the truth is that it is a very painful process that takes 60 hours. That's not going to happen without you knowing it. And when I point that out to you, you say, well, that's not what I'm really wanting to think about. I'm wanting to think about something else.
No, I didn't say that. I said that's not the focal point of this conversation. I'm here for another reason, which
you have said your blood runs through that child's body.
That's what I was told.
Okay, and I'm asking you, does that not...
But that's not, I'm just giving you all the information. That's just what I was told.
Do you believe that?
Right, Mom, then you know he's lying. He must be lying about other things if he's lying about that.
Do you believe that?
I believe that he is my son. Now, how it was done, I believe because he told me that and I was communicating with the...
He told you, though.
Okay.
Because everything you're saying, he's told me. I've been told.
We can stop what you're saying right now and let me make it very clear. And I don't even care, even with the audience just clapping. I'm an anointed woman of God. Okay?
Yes, that's true.
We know this. I have been walking by faith with Tyler Perry.
Because he's confused and manipulated you.
It has been real, and I stand firm on my faith. Firm.
And he's used that against you. He knows that you're a woman of God and is in church, and he's supposedly the same person. So he's using that against you and making you think certain things that aren't real, making you use
and
your
I have been
trust
walking by
against
faith
you.
in celibacy.
And that's because he's not here. He's nowhere because he's never.
You could bicker and all you want to, but I have been walking by faith.
Oh, listen, I believe
in celibacy for more than 3 years.
And he's taking advantage of you.
As
he's
a
taking
good
advantage
and
of you.
faithful anointed woman, and I'm a powerful praying woman of God.
We know
okay,
that
let me
you
ask you.
So
let me ask you something.
Every last one of you could not believe what I'm saying.
Let me ask you something. You can't filibuster. You got to.
I'm not filibustering. I'm telling the truth, Dr. Phil.
Then let me ask you a question. You can't talk
nonstop.
nonstop. You have to take a breath.
All right, sir. Come on, you're supposed to be helping me. Come on now.
I am helping you.
All right, well, if you know Tyler, you know the outcome of this then. You know the full outcome then. You already know the outcome. You're his friend. You're not going to tell me y'all didn't talk about this. This is your show. You already know.
You tell me in 3 years he would not make it possible for the two of you to meet if you were his wife?
I am his wife. I am.
Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family, with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide.
Magenta. Magenta! Magenta. Magenta!
The Epson Eco Tank. No more cartridges, just lots of ink. Print whatever makes you happy. The Epson Eco Tank.
Just fill and chill.
Today, you can give a gift like no other. A gift that can help St. Jude Children's Research Hospital save lives.
I think it's the most worthwhile place to put your money when it comes to childhood cancer.
If it weren't for St. Jude, I wouldn't be sitting here today. If it weren't for St. Jude, a lot of kids wouldn't be with their families every day.
Let's come together to help the children of St. Jude fight childhood cancer. Visit this website, call this number, or scan the QR code with your $19 monthly donation. Join with your debit or credit card right now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt you can proudly wear to show your support. Today, you can help St. Jude save lives.
It takes a heart for somebody to say, I have this extra that I'm willing to give to St. Jude so that they can help save more lives.
Make your monthly donation today to help cure childhood cancer everywhere.
Why is everyone talking about Navage and nasal irrigation?
I am one who suffers from chronic sinus infection.
You need to clean that crap out of your nose.
Navage is simple. Your nose is the body's air filter, but it's not perfect. Navage is a drug-free way to help flush out allergens, mucus, and germs using powered suction. Join nearly 3 million Navage users so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier.
I love this thing.
It's nice to breathe. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Bring home a spellcasting adventure with the Harry Potter Magic Caster Wand.
Stupefy!
Connect your smart devices, cast spells, and witness the magic come to life. Lights.
Lumos Maximum.
Sounds.
Media Loging.
And your TV.
Expecto Patronum. Cool.
The Harry Potter Magic Caster Wand. Order now.
There is nothing hotter than real, honest-to-goodness love.
Mama wanna tell you where it's at. I wanna get that.
I was made for this.
Get with it or get lost. You dropped the ball big time.
I'm throwing y'all my very own Miami yacht party.
It just shook up all of the dynamics.
Y'all ready for this?
Next on Love and Marriage Huntsville.
I think I saw an interview, and they asked Mel how she doing with Martell's new boo thing. Oh, she felt probably happier when he was leveling down. But the level up is kind of a gut punch.
Hey, Martell?
Hey, what up? Hey, don't keep me outside all this damn heat.
Yeah, it's outside today.
You gonna invite me to that house? Don't play with me like that.
Love and Marriage Huntsville. New episode, Saturday at 8, 7 Central.
I'm taking you down bit by bit. I can't wait to see you try.
It's only just begun.
Does it make common sense that, let's talk about the real Tyler Perry.
Yeah, let's talk about him. He's awesome, isn't he?
Let's talk about the real Tyler Perry. Does it make common sense to you that a man of Tyler Perry's integrity and means would not create the opportunity to come face to face with the woman he loved in 3 years? Just common sense. You can forget about.
Well, yeah. You know what? I can common sense on an overall basis. Yeah, you would think that because I do have common sense. But because it's Tyler Perry, and I know that I have been one to come into his life and change him and make him a better man. Oh yes, I know that I have.
What? Just answer my question. Does it make common sense?
I just told you I agree that it doesn't sound like it's common sense, but listen, he's a smart man, and he is a powerful man who writes plays and drama. And right now, I think part of this must be a joke. Part of this is he knows good and well we've been walking by faith in divine, and I've been trying to get him to get in divine order.
Look,
period.
Listen, he just lives down the street from me. He's nothing. There's nothing exotic about Tyler Perry.
There's nothing exotic.
He's just a nice guy. He's just a good, down-to-earth, nice guy. You tell me in 3 years he would not make it possible for the two of you to meet if you were his wife?
I am his wife. I am.
That's what they've...
According to what he has indicated to me. Listen, but let's not talk about that.
You can't believe everything everyone says. You taught us that. You can't believe everything everyone says.
That's not the whole point. What we're talking about right now.
The whole point is that they've manipulated you. They've pushed you to this point to make you believe everything that they say. The pressure that he's put on your life.
So you're saying I've never communicated with him at all is what you're thinking? That I have never, ever communicated with him?
Okay.
And I was communicating with him on his official Facebook.
Look, I'm in a unique situation.
Everybody has been putting up 2 feet. What? Can you explain? Can you explain what you mean by this?
I want you to look me in the eye.
Okay.
I want you to look me in the eye. Forget everything else. I'm in a unique situation here in that I know him. He's a very dear friend of mine. He's in a long-term relationship with another woman.
A model he was. Yes, I know about that.
He was and is in a relationship with another woman. He has been since 2009. She's a lovely, wonderful woman.
And I'm not doubting that.
Her name is Galila.
She's gorgeous.
She is the mother of his child.
Okay.
They're a very happy couple.
Okay.
And this is them.
Okay.
They're a very happy couple.
Okay.
They have a son that they just love and are devoted to.
Okay.
He does not have a condominium in New York.
Okay.
He doesn't now, hasn't, just doesn't exist. You've gone to his house in Atlanta, been turned away.
I've only been once. I haven't gone. I'm not a stalker.
He doesn't know you.
Okay, Dr. Phil. If that's what you say, and that's your friend, I still say I have been walking by faith in divine order.
Is it possible?
You can say what you want to say. He has been communicating. I have communicated with him.
Is it possible that someone is impersonating him?
Okay, based on what you're saying and y'all close friends, put it this way.
Even the
then
messages have
I'll
shown
accept
it, though.
it.
Even
I'll
the
accept what you're
messages
saying.
are showing through scammer.
Well, we're going to talk
ties.
about that after the break.
I'll accept what you're saying.
No, we'll talk about that after the break. Closed captioning provided by
Tonight.
You don't give me any credit.
I'm giving you credit. I'm just saying.
You do not, though. This is an issue in our marriage currently. I'm exhausted. I'm like literally pouring from an empty cup.
Little People, Big World. All new. Tonight at 9 on TLC. Wednesday nights.
There's somebody out there targeting the cheerleaders.
You never know what's happening next door.
As far as I know, it was my neighbor.
Murder in the Heartland. All new. Wednesday at 9. Followed by an all-night murder under the Friday night lights on ID.
Are the color cartridges in your printer ready for another school year?
What's cyan mean?
It means cyan Mara honor roll. The Epson Eco Tank. No more cartridges. It comes with an incredible amount of ink. Just fill and chill.
Let's go again. One more.
One more, man?
Oh, man. All right, little bro.
Want more?
They call me the hot chocolate guru. Okay, nobody calls me that, but oh no, I've got this.
Oh yeah, we need these, no? You know what we do need?
Top with everything.
We absolutely needed these.
Introducing Taco Bell's new 7-layer Nacho Fries.
Next on Love and Marriage Huntsville.
I think I saw an interview, And they asked Mel how she doing with Martell's new boo thing. Oh, she felt probably happier when he was leveling down. But the level up is kind of a gut punch.
Hey, Martell?
Hey, what up? And don't keep me outside all this damn heat.
Yeah, it's outside today.
You gonna invite me to that house? Don't play with me like that.
Love and Marriage Huntsville. New episode, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
I have never been an individual to obsess over any celebrity. I can't be out for Tyler Perry's fame and fortune because I helped him develop millions by showing love and support. I'm not a floozy. I'm not a fly-by-night person. I am not a gold digger.
What I want to do is convince you to not ever send whoever you believe this person to be another penny.
I haven't done that in a long time.
If you would make me feel better if you would agree that you can't send him money unless it has two signatures on it, one of them and you, because I don't want for you to wind up a year from now or 6 months from now or whenever from now, and this person have drained you of money that you have worked so hard for all of your life.
That's already done. It's okay.
Who is Dennis?
I don't know. Dennis who?
You say, hey, Dennis, have a great day. God bless. Dennis, you too, dear. Carla, send your address so Tyler can invite you to a private event.
Oh, Dennis is just one of my Facebook friends.
Now, according to Pigbusters, this online organization that catches internet scammers, Dennis, who I can't show his last name, I couldn't pronounce it if I did, but this Dennis has actually two aliases. His location is Nigeria. He is a Nigerian scammer. This person that you're saying, have a nice day, you too, dear. He is.
Well, anybody could say it. People who'd be nice or say that to me. I've just, I talk to people. I love everybody in Christ. These are just Facebook friends.
I think
I don't even know who he is.
I think actually Tyler slipped one day and sent a text message from the Dennis account instead of the Tyler account.
That could have been
and so it popped up. And now I want to show where this money is actually going because we've been able to track that. Carla thinks she's sending money for Tyler to Beverly Hills or Atlanta, but actually her money has ended up going to Dennis.
No. I was never sending to Beverly Hills or Atlanta. I was sending over. I did send to Africa for a foundation. And
well, it's all wound up in Nigeria.
Okay, I've even talked to some of these individuals, even a lady from Uganda, and she does have an actual school, orphanage school. And
okay, but this is Nigeria. This is not Uganda. This is
I'm
Nigeria.
Just saying my intentions are when I send money. If it goes other places that it shouldn't.
But they've tricked you.
No, this is where you send it straight to. They're showing you where you have sent your money to.
I have actually spoken to. There are legitimate places that I've sent money to. The lady in Uganda, I have.
That's things that she just say. She can just say that.
No, the school is on there. It's on. I've
put anything online, Mom. Anything
kids and everything. I've seen how they. I mean, I've been learning about different cultures, Dr. Phil. I have been talking with people across the world. People in Kenya. There was a pastor in Kenya that wanted me to come there just to speak with the underprivileged, with the kids and the congregation.
That's something outside of the
even name a building after me because of my anointing that he felt that I could help them.
Anytime that you send money, have you gone to this address that they sent you and gone to an official website showing these different organizations, these different charities? Have you actually seen these organizations, or are you just sending money to these addresses? Because you cannot say that these are official charities, organizations, if you have not officially seen them on a website.
You sent it to you sent it to an empty field.
It's okay. If I did, then shoot me. I did.
No,
okay.
I don't want to shoot you. I want to protect you. I want to help you.
If I did, if it fell through the cracks and I made a mistake, that's my fault. That's my fault. But if I had good intentions when I sent my money, it was all good intentions.
It's always been good intentions.
That's why I'm blaming this person. Like, I'm mad as H-E double hockey sticks. Like, this is just bad.
It's okay, God will provide.
Will you make an agreement with me? If you're going to send money, one of these two has to sign with it.
No, I don't need a signer.
This is Gloria. She hasn't worked this hard to only get this far with her cholesterol. Taken with a statin, Leqvio can lower bad cholesterol by over 50% and keep it low with 2 doses a year. Side effects were injection site reaction, joint pain, urinary tract infection, diarrhea, chest cold, pain in legs or arms, and shortness of breath. With Leqvio, lowering cholesterol becomes just one more thing life throws your way. Ask your doctor about Leqvio. Lower, longer, Leqvio.
Let's go again. One more.
One more, man?
Oh, man. All right, little bro.
Want more?
I didn't want to get into credit cards. I didn't know anything about it, and it felt very risky to me. But my friend told me about the Chime Credit Builder card, and it was crazy. I didn't have to worry about interest, fees, credit checks. My score's up 80 points. Join me at chime.com.
You hear about cancer. I just was afraid that I would lose my son.
You think, why us? You know, why me? Why my child?
You can join the battle to save lives by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
It is such a gift to give hope back to a family. As a dad, I'm eternally grateful.
La palabra esperanza para mí es que mi niño va a vivir.
Join St. Jude with your debit or credit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt.
St. Jude is only possible because of the people who donate. You're saving children's lives. You're keeping families together during the hardest thing they'll ever face.
Please call or go online right now and become a St. Jude Partner in Hope.
Taking you down bit by bit. I can't wait to see you try.
It's only just begun.
Will you make an agreement with me? Will you make an agreement with me? And you say you're a woman of God. I was born and raised a Southern Baptist. I was baptized when I was 13.
Me's age 7. I was in the usher board choir, BTU, volleyball, sisterhood, vacation Bible school. I did thoughts for the day. I got and did scripture reading, youth devotional period, third Sundays. And my dad was a deacon. He was a deacon. He was on the trustee board. And I got up. I was the backup for, to speak, doing scripture reading as they collected the offertory prayer. And I want people to know, because I know partly that went viral. I never smoked. I never drank a glass of alcohol. I never prostituted. Okay, and I am a woman of God. Okay. And I want that to be known.
One Christian to another, will you make an agreement with me that you will have a counter signer, so if you're going to send money, one of these two has to sign with it?
No, I don't need a signer because I won't be sending any more money.
Well, then it won't matter.
Because in other words, it would be like you're establishing that there has been, because of the pattern, like there's a habit, like I have a sickness in that area, and I don't.
Well, but wait a minute, if you're not going to send it, if you're not going to send any money, then it doesn't matter.
That would mean that you have assessed that I need to have somebody, that I have a habit so much so that I need to have.
You know what I'm assessing?
I'm talking to the doctor.
It's to care for you, Mom.
You know what I'm You know what I'm assessing? You know what I'm assessing?
What are you assessing?
I'm assessing that there are predators in this world that have targeted a good-hearted woman, and I want to make sure that we are as good at what we do as they are at what they do.
So you're saying to have someone sign it when I want to send money abroad is what you're saying? Or
To
when I
any kind of charity, any kind of donation, anything, and certainly anything to do with Tyler Perry.
Because you don't want to be scammed as well, Mom. You want us to also help you, you know, look into these organizations.
They've got a team. Let us be a team.
We'll help you to make sure your money's going to where it needs to be. That's all, Mom.
Okay, I have 2 daughters sitting over there, so how you going to select one over the other?
Well,
no, it doesn't matter.
Make it be 3 signatures, yours and both of them. I don't care. Either one of them. It can be either one of them.
Phil.
It can be either one of them.
I like you, Dr. Phil. You know that. Yeah, I watch your shows all the time. You're good. You know, I do. I sincerely do.
That'll make me sleep a lot better if I know they can't. That they're not going to find some way to con you. I just don't.
Ooh,
I don't
so you
want
think I've been conned? This is all this assessment. You just feel the bottom line. You think I've been conned, and I've never had any communication with Tyler Perry. Is what you think? That's what y'all think too?
Not just because I know him, but because of the evidence that we have amassed.
Okay.
But also because I know Tyler.
Okay.
I can tell you that you've not been speaking to the Tyler Perry.
You're not talking to the real Tyler Perry.
You've been speaking to a Nigerian that is pretending to be him. Closed captioning provided by...
There is nothing hotter than real, honest-to-goodness love.
Mama wanna tell you where it's at, I wanna get that.
I was made for this.
Get with it or get lost. You dropped the ball big time.
I'm throwing y'all my very own Miami yacht party.
It just shook up all of the dynamics.
Y'all ready for this?
Ugh, this rental car is so boring to drive.
Let's be honest. The rent-a-car industry is the definition of boring, and the reason can be found in the name itself. Rent-a-car? You don't want a friend. You want the friend. You don't want a job. You want the job. The is always over a. That's why we don't offer a car. We offer the car. 6th, rent the car.
Let's go again. One more.
One more, man?
Oh, man. All right, little bro.
Want more?
Hello. I saw you move in, and I wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood with some homemade biscuits.
Oh, that's so nice.
And a little tip, Geico could help you save on homeowners insurance.
Oh.
Cookies?
Biscuits.
Is there a little nutmeg in there?
Oh, it's my mum's secret recipe.
You can tell me.
It's a secret.
Is it cinnamon?
It's my mum's secret recipe.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I'll come back for the plate.
People who come to Cricket, stay with Cricket.
Little did we know that switching to Cricket was going to be a major upgrade. The 5G is like fast.
Switch for the speed, stay for the savings. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Next on Love and Marriage Huntsville.
I think I saw an interview, and they asked Mel how she doing with Martell's new boo thing. Oh. She felt probably happier when he was leveling down. But the level up is kind of a gut punch.
Hey, Martell?
Hey, what up? Hey, don't keep me outside all this damn heat.
Yeah, it's outside today.
You gonna invite me to that house? Don't play with me like that.
Love and Marriage Huntsville. New episode, Saturday at 8, 7 Central.
Tyler Perry doesn't need your money.
I know he doesn't need my money. He made that very clear to me that he didn't need my money.
But he took it.
But the gentleman did, and I think he's used it for something that is very of a good nature. Do this for me. You tell him it's okay. I love him anyway, and I forgive him.
Okay.
Make sure you tell him that I forgive him, I love him still unconditionally, and it's okay.
I will do that if you will do two things for me.
And tell him I love him, and that's it. Okay?
I'll do that if you'll do two things for me. One is you will have a co-signer if you're sending money to any organization or anything to do with Tyler Perry. That's one.
And what's the other one?
That you will unplug for 30 days.
Unplug how?
Just unplug from.
You mean from social media? What unplug from?
Social media for 30 days. Just take a break.
I don't have a problem with that.
Do we have an agreement?
Yeah, sure.
Christian to another, we have an agreement. Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm not hard to. That's fine.
I think you are a terrific woman. I really do, and I'm
I
very
think you're a
proud
great man. That's why you've been on for a long time, and you have a beautiful wife.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Tell us what you think on Facebook and Twitter, and put this good woman and this very nice family in your prayers. Thanks for being here.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Why is this former cheerleader
When I'm mad, I lose all control.
taking out her anger
She's giving me black eyes.
He's done the exact same stuff to me.
on her fiancé?
You broke the plate, and then you storm off. You got scratches on your neck, you got scratches on your back. I don't care. What I care is that you guys are getting physical. That's dangerous. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Well, Victoria's here, and when she was in high school, she was a cheerleader, a member of the school band. She played softball, ran track, and danced, all while getting straight A's. Now, on the outside, she just seemed to have it all. However, deep down inside, Victoria says she was battling to control a great deal of anger and rage. Now, today at age 19, Victoria says her temper has escalated, causing her to slam doors, throw things, and inflict physical harm to her fiancé, Jeremy. Not to mention leaving this message on his voicemail.
You're dirty, nasty, ugly, Puerto Rican beaner. You're disgusting, and you should have been put 6 feet deep. You can barely even speak English when you lived here. So what's your excuse for being so retarded? Oh wait, you don't have one.
Charming. Victoria says things are not what they seem, as she says Jeremy provokes her to lose her temper, and she just needs my help.
My anger is very out of control. I absolutely take most of my anger out on Jeremy.
Sauce it up, sauce it up. This is mushrooms.
Okay, I was just asking.
All right, I was just telling you. Anything could set her off.
Why would you put it on there looking like that?
All right, my bad. Over the smallest thing, Victoria completely goes off the deep end.
Why don't you try just actually talking to me instead of getting pissed off too and fueling it? I feel like when it comes to Jeremy, everything he says is just on autopilot.
When I try to talk to you and I tell you to calm down, you tell me, don't tell me to calm down.
You think telling me to calm down is gonna make me calm down? No, it's gonna piss me off more. Jeremy does purposely try to make me mad. I think it's entertainment to him. Why would you put cheese on it? Like, you know I can't. Like, why? When we do get into a fight, it does start with name calling. I've called Jeremy worthless, piece of stupid, loser, liar.
Piece
I already won.
worthless, Call me a Mexican piece of dirt.
I said you were a dirty Mexican. When I get in a rage, anything breakable in sight is going to get broken. These are all from throwing bowls. I'll break glasses, I'll punch holes in walls. This is from a hairspray can that I threw. I'll slam doors.
She'll grab whatever she can get her hands on.
Maybe a simple I'm sorry for putting cheese on the pizza, that'd be great.
I already did. When we were right there and you told me the
You did not say you were sorry. Don't lie and say you said that you were sorry when you didn't.
Said I was sorry.
No, you didn't, Jeremy. No, you didn't. You did not say that you were sorry. Oh my freaking ugh! I'm literally shaking, I'm so angry.
Glass got all the way down over here. Wow. This is ridiculous. It happens like so often though, so I'm kind of just, I guess, becoming accustomed to it.
I blame Jeremy for all of this because ever since we've been dating, I've been raging.
And nobody that loves each other in their right mind will try to stress out the person they love every day with the same crap.
All this is absolutely Jeremy's fault.
Okay, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, thank you.
I'm a little confused, so help me get my bearings. Are you here to defend what you do, understand what you do, or change what you do?
I'm here to understand and change what I do. I want to understand why I'm like this and why I'm...
But you seem to be defending it.
Some of the things that he's saying is not true. He is a liar and he does want to make himself look like the victim, even though he has done a lot of the same things to me.
Okay.
But I just don't talk about them because I don't want him to look like a bad person.
Did you chip his tooth in February?
Yes, I did. He was drinking a glass of water and we were arguing, and he called me a white whore, white B word. So I tapped the glass, not knowing it would break his tooth, of course, but it did break his tooth.
So he called you a white whore bitch, and you went...
Yeah, exactly that.
If this is the glass, tap it the way you tapped it.
Like if it's sideways, like that. Really, on his tooth. Literally, on his tooth.
He must have brittle teeth. Did he...
Look at his teeth. He definitely, he never brushes them.
Did it break the glass?
It did not break the glass.
Just his teeth?
Yes.
Here's an incident report from May. That was February, then this is May. And it was made after you were arrested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were called. Jeremy and I had been arguing all morning, and I had to go to work. And the cops came in and arrested me after they had stopped at the apartment, talked to him. He opened the door shirtless. He had a small scratch right here. It was only ½ an inch, and it was from our dogs, because we had 3 German Shepherds. And they were jumping up on him, giving him hugs and kisses. They were excited to see him. But I told the cops that he never did anything to me that started that. But what really happened was he was holding me down, and I told him to let me go, and he wouldn't. So he leaned back and flung me off the bed and started making me hit myself in the face with my own hands.
Well, they should have arrested the dog then, according to you.
No, nobody.
All right, pause up. You're going in,
He
right?
knew it. He knew it wasn't what the cops were thinking. He wasn't pressing charges. He told them it was just the dog. But in the state of Texas, they can pick up charges, and that's exactly what they did.
Okay. And you were upset because when you went to jail, you're lactose intolerant, and you're a vegan, and in jail, they don't have
I didn't.
custom menus.
No, of course not. I understand that, and I realize that. I did tell them when they asked me when I was in booking that I can't eat dairy or anything like that. And they didn't provide anything for me that I could eat, which was fine with me because I was going to get out soon. But they did feed like green hot dogs and just the worst of the worst food.
Was jail.
Yeah. It was miserable, and that was my wake-up call. That's why I reached out to you. I need to learn how to control my anger because I want this relationship to work so bad. I've went to multiple therapists growing up, and nothing ever seems to help. This rage is uncontrollable. I don't even feel like me anymore.
Okay, so if I could just get him to quit provoking you, then you would be okay.
I wouldn't say necessarily provoke, but to get him to actually listen to me and talk to me instead of like when I get mad, he will feel it. Like he will start saying things back to me and getting me even heated.
But you're already mad.
Yeah, I'm already, in a sense, mad, but not raging.
You seem to fly into a rage because he put cheese on your pizza. Mm-hmm. You broke a plate.
Yeah, I'm
while
lactose
we were
intolerant.
there.
He knows that, and I'd been throwing up before we had actually went to go do that stuff, and he just didn't take into consideration I didn't have any medicine. I was already sick, and I did not want to be throwing up while we were finishing out the rest of the day.
Yeah. You broke the plate, and then you storm off, and this is him cleaning it up.
Usually he is the one to clean it up. He'll sweep it into a pile, and then I'll pick it up and throw it in the trash can. Mm-hmm. But he's usually picking it up because he doesn't understand how mad he makes me.
I just can't let this slide. Earlier, you called him, and this is your word, retarded. I have to tell you, that's as offensive as any of the other words you called him.
I agree. When I get mad, it's like word vomit. It just keeps coming out.
Coming up, Jeremy is here and says he still loves Victoria, even though he claims she slapped, punched, bit him, and hit him with a dog leash. She says, maybe, but he provokes me into doing these things. Now, there are reasons people get angry. I don't mean just specific topics. There are